Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo had a less than ideal separation when it came to the end of his second homecoming. Now, obviously, we all know that. We know for a fact that Ronaldo went out publicly, aired his grievances, and then his contract was terminated by the club. Both sides have moved on from that arrangement. At this point, though, Ronaldo is now a player at Al Nassr, and Manchester United, well, they haven't really replaced Ronaldo as such, but they have actually started to look like a cohesive team again. And in fact, if you look back at their recent results, particularly since the time that Ronaldo has left the club, because again, you'd remember that Ronaldo, his last game for the club was the 3-1 loss to Aston Villa. And obviously after that, his contract was terminated. He had gone for the World Cup. Since then, since the World Cup was over, since league action has resumed, United stats make for some very, very interesting reading. In fact, why don't I just show it to you instead of telling you about it? Here is a look at how United have been so far post Ronaldo. They've played 4 matches. They have won 4 of those matches. They've scored 9 goals in said matches and conceded they've conceded no goals whatsoever during this time period. Now, again, I know what it is. You'd probably be thinking that, okay, this is a very small sample size, and only in the long term will you really know just how much of a miss he could be. But the simple fact of the matter is, a quick look at United's very basic numbers from, of course, the 2020-21 season and the 2021-22 season, which is, of course, the year, the latter of which was when Ronaldo was signed back to the club, actually paints a very interesting picture if you're looking at it, and actually goes forth into the point that we are making in the headline, is that are United a better side without Cristiano Ronaldo in it? Now, let's quickly take a look at those numbers. In the 2020-21 season, United ended up finishing second place. They won 27 matches overall that year, scored 73 goals and conceded only 44, which meant that they had a rather respectable goal difference, if you have to look at it. And they finished second, and yes, it was a distant second to City, but still a second place position means there's really only one place to go from there on out. And well, they didn't really end up making that leap, despite the fact that in the 2021 season they welcomed back Cristiano Ronaldo. In fact, if you look at United's underlying numbers from that particular season, at the end of the season they only ended up finishing 6th. They had 16 wins as compared to 27 in the 2021-22 season, compared to, as I said, the previous year was a lot more. They scored 57 goals, but also conceded 57 goals, which means that they finished with a goal difference of exactly 0. Now, again, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, okay, how exactly does this tie into Ronaldo being the problem? Well, the thing is that in the previous season, United had a clear style of play that, even though it was pretty basic, I mean, they were a very good counter-attacking side, but they had that style down pat. The arrival of Ronaldo in 2021 actually ended up forcing them to modify from that style a lot before they were actually ready to do so, and thus they ended up suffering and were worse for wear because of it. That is why, if you have to actually look at these underlying numbers, they fell, and that is despite the fact that Ronaldo himself was pretty prolific in his first year. But again, when it comes to a team that isn't dysfunctional or demands more from a player than what Ronaldo was willing to give during his single time as one major season at United during his second homecoming, then things start becoming a problem. And this actually is the reason why, in fact, if United had to continue working with Cristiano Ronaldo, not just for this particular year of his contract, but even in the year beyond that, there are 3 major issues that they would have been facing, and I've outlined them here. So one of the major ones is that the team will only end up revolving around him. So when you're looking at the team becomes less of a cohesive unit and more of a team centered around one particular player, in this case, Cristiano Ronaldo. This has a knock-on effect in the sense that it will lead to the other forwards not being as prolific as they perhaps could be. Case in point, at Juventus, Ronaldo was scoring plenty of goals, but pretty much all of the other forwards, including most notably Paulo Dybala, all saw their numbers take a significant hit. It's not a coincidence when Ronaldo is in the team has to revolve around him. It's also not a coincidence because if you look back in history, when Ronaldo left Manchester United the first time around, as well as when he left Real Madrid, both of those following seasons, you had Wayne Rooney have his best ever season for Manchester United, and it's no coincidence that Karim Benzema has become such a force with Ronaldo no longer there at the club. And the third point is also very, very important because it builds into what United are trying to do with Erik ten Hag, is that the attacking play can really become very one-dimensional. Now, what happens when you have a Ronaldo on your side? Your play is built around two things, either feeding him passes through balls or feeding him crosses. And that can be very easily stopped, because if you note for the fact that all you have to do is shut off the supply line for Ronaldo, then, well, all you do is that, and Ronaldo ceases to be as effective as he was, because his game revolves around goals. So if you cut off his supply line, he's not really going to be that threatening, and that is something that a lot of teams have figured out, and that is why when he's not playing in his particular side, they tend to be a lot more functional. Again, better example of this would be when Ronaldo was dropped from the Portugal team during the World Cup in the round of 16 against Switzerland. Gonzalo Ramos came on, scored a hat-trick, that's true, but Portugal's overall movement and attacking was a lot more fluid than it was with Ronaldo. And unfortunately for him, the exact same thing applies to Manchester United as well, because despite the fact that his goals were definitely an asset, everything else about him, be it his lack of build-up play, lack of pressing, lack of defensive work rate, lack of being able to link play with other forwards, all were a liability, especially for a side coached by Erik ten Hag, a manager who's very much a disciple of modern methods, which involve all players being part of a collective fight and actually putting in the effort together. You will not be seeing a manager like him mitigate that kind of effort for any star, even though he was willing to do so for Ronaldo, but Ronaldo burned that bridge, and here we are. So while it might be a heartbreaking thing for certain United fans who of course would have become fans of the club, or at least found their love for them due to Ronaldo being there, the simple fact of the matter is that as things stand, United can actually build to a much better future now that they don't have to cater to Ronaldo being in the playing 11. But that's just how I feel. What do you guys think? Well, you can let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell icon. Then you can go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And last but not least, don't forget to download the AajTak app. Thank you all once again for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Dias, and I hope to see you with us soon. But for now, goodbye.